Hey, 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 Beat Baseball World. Welcome back to the Beat Ball Blue Show, National Beat Baseball Association World Series recap number 3. It's going to be light because the World Series got rained out today. Seth Dog, Bam Bam, Neil Dog. I don't even have my head straight. Neil Dog, Bam Bam, we got it all for you. What little there is. What's happening, Seth?
Hey, I'm sorry. But yeah, I didn't realize it got rained out until you texted me, a few hours ago and stuff like that.
Trying to get you ready to do a show.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh man, it got rained out. It's like, oh, really? Has it ever been rained out to this extent where they canceled all the games? I can't remember.
I don't know. I know, like in 2001 when we were in Cleveland, when we were getting ready to go play in the undefeated game on Friday against Oklahoma, that got way like postponed by several hours. But I mean, it was Friday and hardly anybody was left. So I think that time would have been threatened. I know we've had to move tournaments around. Even Chicago back in '90, we had to move a lot of stuff around. So we've had rain affect the tournament, but I mean
I don't think it's ever canceled it.
Yeah, we lost 2 of our 3 sessions today. So
no, I've been out on the field, till you did it in 2001. We did it, God, in Rochester, I think, in whenever that was, 2016, when we were out on that field until like 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night, man. It was crazy.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're right. Rochester, New York, right? In 2015. Yeah. I wasn't there, but I do remember it being a problem. So
I don't remember it ever being actually wiped out though. So this is interesting.
That's
man.
true. Everything's just been maybe one game postponed to the next day, but again, we lost 2. We did get 1 session in, but we lost 2. So things are going to be way behind with 4 sessions tomorrow. We could talk about that more. We mentioned yesterday that we were going to have Matt Wallace and Rosina Foster on with us, and we were half true. Actually, I feel bad because Matt Wallace is, I believe, still trying to join with us. The Zoom link hasn't been working for him. We've been trying to get him on phone. He's been trying very hard to make it happen. He's frazzled, and I'm disappointed we couldn't get him on, but we have a small window we're working with, so we had to get going. But we do have the play-by-play voice of the Game of the Day stream, Rosina Foster, with us again. Hey, Rosina.
Hey, everybody.
We need sound effects, Neil Dog. Every time
we could just clap,
Hey!
Hey, Rosina's here.
Hey!
But the problem with that, it requires Seth and I to like move muscles and do more than just sit here and talk.
I would like just to press a button, Neil Dog, and sound like 1,000 people are clapping. Yay!
Hey, Matt's joining us. Well, somebody joined us. Sorry,
I tried to leave you guys an audio message. I had 3 text messages with 3 different numbers, all of which I had to memorize, and then I had to go back and forth between Zoom's quick little, you haven't entered this yet. Hello, you haven't entered this yet. Goodbye. That was a very much a pain to try to do that, so I apologize.
You're all good. Actually, all 3 of us did hear that audio message. We've actually started.
Hey, Matt, we played it live for the audience, man.
No, the audience didn't.
Oh, good.
The audience didn't hear. But we have started the show. We're literally only like a couple minutes in, so you came at a perfect time. We just introduced Rosina. Now we can introduce you, Matt. How's it going?
Matt, yay!
Better now.
Yeah, I forgot. We're working on our sound effects. Live sound effects. And so I was just explaining that Matt was pretty frazzled because he was working so hard to get in with us. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Hey, Matt, as one who
sir.
has struggled with the same sort of thing trying to get to the Beat Ball Blues show, I understand your pain, man. I understand your pain. Welcome.
The whole time that
Look,
I'm playing,
I can talk.
Go ahead.
I can talk, I can announce, I can articulate, but when it comes to technological things, that's when don't even think about asking me for any kind of anything.
That's kind of the problem with Seth and I taking this show to another level is we're not technically sound. So it's like, man, who's gonna do this work for us? Richie Flores said it to me a long time ago when we started this show, when I was talking about how we'd love to be doing it live and play, music at the beginning and this and that. He's like, dude, you need a quarterback. Like you can't talk and do all that stuff. You need a quarterback. And he's exactly right. So we're looking. Hey, Rosita, I was getting ready to ask you a question that I forgot I wanted to ask you until right in that moment. When Matt joined us, is it Seth's fault that you now say runs instead of points when you're doing the streams?
Oh yeah.
Actually, I am going to blame that. It's actually not a blame. It's a good thing. No, Axel Cox came up and told me that it would be much appreciated if I instead of points. And I'm a basketball person myself, so as soon as it was mentioned, of course, it makes sense to me. So yeah, I definitely have adjusted to that just for the World Series. So
Thank you, Axel. I wonder where you got that idea from. Sorry.
I'm sure that there was a little birdie named Seth that
It was actually Neil. Neil was out there just dumping on you. I don't know. He has some issue, so I don't know.
I always take those as much as I'm able. I will, try to improve, listen. It might take me a little bit to correct it, but definitely I do like any of the feedback and try to correct from that.
Well, can I say the World Series is a big, important thing, but Neil did have some criticism of your show yesterday. Perhaps not you guys, but perhaps this would be a good time for Neil to kind of present his issues and you guys for you guys to respond. I think it would be.
Sure, lay it on us, Neil.
I don't know why you put it like that, because I presented it as part of our show last night. My complaint has nothing to do with you and Matt. No. And I believe you two might not even be aware this is going on, but your sound is being cut off. Well, it wasn't today. It started out today. But they seem to stop it. I'm not sure like who your quarterback is when you guys are doing the show, but in between innings, the sound was being faded out during the Wool game last night.
Yes, my girlfriend told me that.
Yeah, and it did not seem at all organized, because you would be, Matt, like you're really good about like right when the inning's over, kind of giving a quick synopsis about what happened and what could have happened, what needed to happen, and every time they cut you out. And when the sound would be brought back up, it would already be like 2 strikes into an at bat. Like you know what I mean? So I don't know what that was about. And they actually, as part of today's game that you're doing with the Blackhawks and the Thunder, right? Yeah, the Blackhawks and the Thunder. They started doing it at the beginning of the game, and fortunately stopped at around the second inning or so, third inning. I don't know why they were doing it. I don't know who was doing it. I thought it was stupid though. I don't like it. Go ahead.
So tell us what happened.
Because I had the exact same reaction last night when my girlfriend told me, just more colorful wording maybe, as far as, because I'm very
I could be colorful, but we're PG-13.
I'm very passionate about this because I think you put it perfectly, and I really appreciate that someone else is. It's not just me being a little narcissist over here, but what I feel as though I bring to the table, to the NBBA, to Beat Baseball, and just to any game that I broadcast, is that knowledge, that passion, and the facts, and some good commentary between innings. And Rosina bounces off me. We have really good conversation about the game, about the ebbs and flows of the game. And if you're going to cut that off between innings, that is not okay with me at all. You may think you seem cool. Like the way my girlfriend put it, I think it's apt. They were being, quote, all cool with just like, switch, but it's, we don't have commercials. This isn't like we have a Geico commercial ready to play, like, or something like that. We're here to talk. We're here to present. We're here sitting in the hot sun to bring a game to you. I'm not trying to be muted. Only
Well,
when Rosina taps me before a pitch. That's the only time I can be muted when she says shut up.
And what was the actual issue? Do you know now what was going on? I thought you said it, but I didn't. I don't know.
I think someone decided that it would just sound cool or something. I don't know, but that's not okay with me.
Who would that someone, like on the production line?
Seth
Who
isn't
would-
gonna let that part go, I guess.
Yeah, who is it? I mean, I'm just wondering where.
I don't
where
want to
was
get
that
them
between?
in any kind of trouble.
No trouble. I mean, it's just,
I'm not
is there a
sure,
quarterback or,
Now, like from my point of view, I'm not sure what the reasoning behind it is. I don't know if there is a set ebb and flow on the decision for that. I think in the Wool game specifically, it is more because we have a lot of issues with people talking behind us. The mic that we have picks up absolutely everything around
Yeah,
us.
that's
We
fair.
have a wall around it. But it picks up absolutely everything. We do warn people before we go live that we're going live. This is going to be on there. Don't say stuff that you don't want said. And people have been offended by that. They have complained about it. So I think, especially during something that's not an official game like the Wool game, that it's easier just to cut out anything in between. I don't know for sure. I have absolutely no idea. I don't know when it's happening. I don't know what the decision, who decides. That is my guess. Now, as far as other games, I don't know if it's worrisome, because I do know that if things are said, even though it's live, for the recording, they have to go back through and watch everything
And edit it and stuff.
edit it.
Yeah.
That is very time consuming. It's very expensive. So again, I don't know if it's just done from that standpoint. But I have been told that people absolutely do love the commentary and the conversation and the flow that keeps going when they do hear it, that we're alive in between the innings, that we don't stop. There's not a lot of
Yeah.
pauses, that they want that information, not just the information from other games, but just about a previous play possibly. That's just my thought. Again, I don't know who decides when it gets done, how it gets done,
Right.
how often it gets done.
So-
that makes total sense though. How that I mean, that to me, that makes that's the plausible explanation that there's some real rationale behind it. It might not come
Right.
off well in the let's say how it's being performed, but at least to me there's some sense behind doing it. So I'm good. I got the answers I was actually interested in. So
Well,
agree.
listen, I had the thought last night that maybe they are worried about things that could come across the stream in between innings, whatever. But where I have a problem though, they didn't communicate anything to Rosina
And that's
and
what my
Matt.
point is.
And they spend that 5 minutes, or 2 minutes, 3 minutes talking, wasted their time to
Right.
communicate to them.
And
There's no microphone on. You know what I mean? Why let Matt sit there and go like the two of them? Because I'll give both of you
yep.
credit real quick. I want to give both of you credit because I listened to you, Matt, do the Philly games. I listened to you, Rosina, do the Atlanta games. You guys do them by yourselves. A lot of people stream the games by themselves. And in between innings, you guys keep conversation going all the time. And that's not easy to just keep talking and keeping people, engaged. So you guys, that's extra work that they're letting you just sit there and do for no reason. And when they're bringing the sound back, they're not even bringing it back until it's halfway through an at bat. So it's not well organized. Maybe there's good rationale behind it, but communicate with the people who are working for you. I mean,
Well,
it doesn't.
without not attacking without trying to find out who's behind it and attacking them for not, I can understand how they're doing it. They're doing it, why they're doing it. They're just doing it in a bad job. And they could have communicated it with you guys.
Should have.
Yes,
and here's the thing, and I'm very passionate about the should have part, because I put as much into my announcing as any beat baseball player puts into their beat baseball. Just the anxiety I have before any broadcast, the way I approach a broadcast, the way I want to to paint a perfect picture. And I make mistakes, and I will make mistakes tomorrow, and I'll make mistakes. But damn it, I put my 100% effort into it, and I'm a blind guy that is very passionate about play-by-play. If God had blessed me with eyesight, I'd be a professional play-by-play man. And I'm really passionate about this craft. That's what my craft is. And if I'm putting effort into remembering the stats, not writing anything down, because I take a lot of pride in that.
I was going to ask you about that. You're really good about keeping track of who's like all the way through the game. Oh, so-and-so's 3 for 4, 2 for 5. Like you, I was going to ask you if you memorized all that. You do a great job at that.
And I take pride in that. And you take a thing like a wool game, I'm not trying to remember it to make myself look better. It's like, oh, I remember that Rosie Reed was 3 for 4. I want people to have that knowledge if they're fans of Rosie Reed, or if they're fans of, of Faith Penn. And if I'm just yammering about stats and the keys to the game and stuff like that, and no one's even telling me, well, then I'm just here burning my ass off, flying to Beaumont, Texas to not be heard. Like, I know it's just the announcers, it's the stream hub, but we try just as hard in our way as everyone else.
Everybody's behind you. Like, I was irritated, and I had people sending me private messages. I'm not the only one that had a problem with it. And Juan Gonzalez, who was a guest on our show last night, he did the same thing I did. There were before I figured out what was going on, there were 2 times that I reset my computer because I thought I lost the feed. So, when nobody knows what the hell's going on, I don't know. I never intended for this to become a big topic or whatever.
I'm off my soapbox. I'm off.
I'm glad we kind of talked it up. I do have one last complaint for you, Rosina.
Absolutely.
I helped you out a little bit today with a name of a player that you guys were struggling with.
Absolutely.
And I thought that would have been a perfect time for you to say, thanks for the assist for the Beat Ball Blues show. And by the way, Matt and I will be joining the Beat Ball Blues show later.
I thought I mentioned it, but I guess I did not. I do get very frazzled and agitated doing the broadcast too. I thought I had said something, but apparently I did not. And I do apologize for that.
I'm teasing.
If I get something like that, I definitely, will try to say, hey, so-and-so corrected me on that. I do get very, very hyper aware and a little anxious when I'm on the air.
I understand.
Years, when I do it, I will literally make myself sick the night before, violently sick. So
goodness.
Hey, well, there's no need to apologize. There are more streams to come. You can always just correct the oversight.
By the way, yesterday, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, you know what? I was going to dive more into just like promoting the streams, but I think everybody knows that the streams are going on at this point. We could actually run down the games from today, and then we'll go back and talk about the game that you guys were part of, and talk about what games you'll be doing tomorrow.
Hold on, can I just say one thing on everybody and their streams? I was trying to go through today, and the streams are up there, but it doesn't all the time announce what stream it is. You know what I'm saying? It's like you have to kind of click in to see what's going on. So I just like a better labeling system for those of us who are.
It depends on the team, and sometimes most teams are really good about that. I think the stream will say, it's Philly Fire is live.
Neil, they are. But I was trying to go through today to find a game to watch, and I just didn't know what game. I
got you.
And I'm
talking about on the Nation page?
Yeah,
or
I'm just talking about on the Nation when people put up their streams and stuff. I was just trying to go through the games today to find a stream, and I was just like, you know what? I'll just pick this one because I didn't know what teams they were. And so it's not you guys. You guys are good. It was just the Beat Ball Nation family that I know tunes into this show or whatever. It's just something I noticed today or whatever.
There's a couple things with that. I mean, one, some teams are better at it than others, but also a lot of times when teams lose their feed and have to start a second stream or a
right.
third stream, they try to get things going as fast as possible.
Right,
So
right.
normally when the second feed or whatever pops up, there's not always a title. But the other thing I was going to say, Richie Flores is now the second vice president of the NBBA. He won that election. I was going to look at that stuff at the end, but Richie is the one that started pushing the Game of the Day streams, and he mentioned when he was a part of our show, the election show, right before the World Series, that one thing that he wanted to do if second vice president is try to work with all the teams on standards, trying to reach standards that all the teams at least try to
Right,
follow, so that we're all on the same base. So. All
And
right, let's run down.
I was at the end of that. It was in the last 6 innings of the game, so that makes sense. Your explanation of what happened. So.
The last 6 innings of the
So I'm
6th
saying
inning game.
the sixth inning.
I know, I was joking. I knew what you meant. All right, let's run down the games. So again, the only thing we had was morning games today. We started out with an undefeated game between the Edge and the Boston Renegades. That was a 16-5 win for the Indy Edge. Talk a little bit more about the Renegades in a minute. We had the Austin Blackhawks defeat the Indy Thunder 19-14. So now the Blackhawks and the Indy Edge are our last 2 teams in this double elimination part of the tournament that are still undefeated. They will be playing on Friday. Running down these elimination games, the Jets defeated the Atlanta Chaos 25-11, ending Atlanta's tournament. The Philly Fire defeated the Tigers 2012, so the Tigers are now out. Chicago ended the BCS Outlaws. Great run that they made late on Wednesday, but that was still a good tournament for the Outlaws. So Chicago won 16-6. Comets move on. Bayou City Heat 12-9 over the Houston Hurricanes.
Oh.
And that's it for the elimination games. Going back, we had 2 pretty major entries. Want to give shout outs in the Boston Renegades game with the Indy Edge. Chris Kimball, who is a new player, I believe this is his rookie year, had a bad crash. I believe like their outfield was close to some trees, and he was going after a ball and crashed into a tree.
Yeah.
Do I have that right?
Yes, he was diving and nobody told him to stop. He was running and straight into the trees, kind of dove and caught his shoulder and the side of his head on, full running into a tree.
So I did hear that he was at the hospital getting that checked out. The Renegades team sounded pretty positive about it. But that's all we have. And then in the game that you guys were in with the Blackhawks and the Thunder, Brandon Chesser had to be carted off with a major injury. I've actually been in touch with Brandon. He is done for the tournament. He's on crutches. He's got a severe knee bruise, and he has to see an orthopedic when he gets back to Austin, and they're worried about some serious ligament damage. That's kind of a double whammy. Go ahead.
Get hurt.
Run into base. I don't know. Do you have more on that, Rosina? Like, do you know how he got tangled up at the base?
So he was, I think it was a landing. I do believe he was running towards first base, tackled the base, and he was, instead of like rolling with it, what it looked like to me was he was trying to like stay on his feet, as he was tumbling over the base. And I think twisted that knee up really bad as he landed. He went down right away, got back, tried to get back up, and he was holding his leg up and trying to hop on one foot, made it about 2 hops, and you could just see the pain in his face, and he just went right back down and just couldn't move.
That's when I became concerned for his tournament, when he couldn't put any weight on it. if you can't walk it off, the chances of you coming back and playing are really low. And it's a double whammy for him. 'Cause, I mean, Austin's one of our two undefeated teams that is left, and he's their best player, I believe. But also, assuming that this all-star weekend that's being worked on is going to happen in November, he's one of the players that would have very likely been part of that. And the chances are, if he's got some real ligament damage, that he wouldn't even be playing yet in November. So that's sad all the way around. I hate to see anybody take that kind of injury. So for both Chris Kimball and Brandon Chesser, and just our thoughts are with you guys and getting healed up as soon as possible. I've been talking to Brandon about coming on the show. We might even be able to squeeze him in before the World Series is over. Matt, I want to bring you back in and go to that game with the Blackhawks and the Thunder. When Brandon went down, Seth, the Blackhawks were really starting to pull away. They had like a 15-6 lead at that point, but that injury took a lot out of their team, I thought. They seemed a little shook for a while, and it took them a while to recover.
It always seems to kind of work that way.
Right. Do you agree with that assessment, Matt? Don't you? Go ahead.
I wholeheartedly agree with that assessment. And the next batter, as I mentioned, Tim Hibner struck out, snapping an 18 consecutive string of no strikeouts. So it was like right after that happened, you could tell he was a little frazzled, not the same. They only scored 4 runs in the next 2 2/3 innings, as opposed to scoring 15 right in the first 3 1/3. So they were absolutely a little bit frazzled, and the Thunder, luckily for the Blackhawks, kind of ran out of time for them in that bottom of the 6th inning, because they were starting to find their bats. And if Toby scores, and he was an inch from scoring to make it 19-15, I'm telling you, things would have got interesting, because Jarrett was finding good contact on the first pitch of every batter. And I really do think that Chesser injury, and remember, he was 4 for 5 in the game. I mean, he was
wrong.
One of the guys raking it. So absolutely, that took a lot out of him. And I'm curious as to what their response is going to be tomorrow against the Indy Edge, for sure.
Yeah, they're really, the Indy Edge are really the only team that can absorb that kind of loss. No other team in the tournament has the kind of depth that I mean, nobody should really have depth to where you could lose your best player and still feel like you're all right. But that's going to hurt.
They could lose a couple of good players.
Yeah. But I hated to see that happen. How have you guys been feeling overall? How have you guys been enjoying doing the Game of the Day streams? They've been going for you.
I'll let Matt go first on that if he wants.
Okay. I was. So I think that we've done some great games of the day. I mean, you got to see Boston and Gateway, which was a very entertaining game, albeit not as close as we thought it might be, but we got to see Johnny Walker pitch to some good hitters, and just the whole Boston experience, right? When you watch Boston play, it's an experience. The whole thing, they have their individual songs for every individual player. They got their swag. So that was a really cool game to do. And then even to do a game like Chaos and the Long Island Bombers, maybe not 2 World Series contenders in 2022, but 2 teams that, Rosina, very close to the Chaos, obviously works with them. And, the Long Island Bombers, I see multiple times a year in the Beast of the East. So just a fascinating game to see those 2 teams go at it. It was a very entertaining 16-12 game. So even in a game that you're not broadcasting like the 1 versus 2 best team, there can be some real entertaining beat baseball. And so that was that game. And then obviously today you saw 2 just Titan teams, just 2 great pitchers go at it. So I think we've seen a game at kind of every level here. And I think, and obviously doing the Women of Our League game, I love it. I mean, I absolutely love doing the Game of the Day. You never know what you're going to see. You never know the dynamics that you're going to witness on the field. I think it's just awesome.
You've called a few of the Women of Our League games, Rosina. I know both of you have, but Rosina, wasn't last night's Wool game like one of the best contests?
That was an incredible game, not just as far as Women of Our League. It was just an extremely both challenging game and also entertaining game. I mean, it was kind of maybe not so much in like your point value or whatever you might consider that way, but just the way it was played and the attitude behind how it was playing, it's kind of like what you dream of as far as like entertainment. Like that's something really good to watch.
Yeah.
It gives you a good feeling that it's just like, man, this is really good stuff.
I forgot to mention it to you last night, Seth. Something they started doing as another fundraiser for wool. I don't even know. I don't know who started it, but all of a sudden, Lakeisha Holmes is on the PA, like, Zach Arambula has been arrested, and it's gonna cost $20 to get him out of jail. And people were coming up with the money. And then Richie Flores got arrested. I think Cassie Nip got thrown in jail. So do you have any idea how much money they raised with that, you two?
I have no clue. I'm
Yeah.
gonna guess well over $100.
I was gonna say it had
20,
to.
30, $40 per amount. Definitely, and it's always a fun entertaining, because
That was.
people are joking, they're in a good mood at the time when it's going on, so they're gonna fork out the
Right.
money for the entertainment.
Do you
What was
guys?
funny about that too
Okay,
is
yeah,
that
go ahead.
they had all those guys for $20, and then I think we had like 4 or 5 of them, and they said Cassie Nip is gonna have to pay some more money to get her out because she's like the
Yes, they had people
NBBA person.
hollering
So
that they'd pay for them to keep them. It was just really good.
I've known Cassie Nip's new husband. She just got married this summer to Glenn Hopkins, and Seth and I have known Glenn Hopkins for over 30 years, and I love that man. He's a great guy. But my first thought when they threw Cassie Nip in there is, man, this dirty old man Glenn Hopkins went to them and said, hey, if you throw my wife in there, I'll pay a lot to get her out. So I could be wrong, but I'm gonna accuse Coach of going that route. But anything to raise money, that's good stuff. Do you guys know what games you're doing tomorrow? I assume you're doing the undefeated game.
We will be doing the undefeated game, and then I believe there'll be another one. I'm not sure what the other one will be.
Probably the third place game later after that. The schedule for people that haven't heard, the games that were supposed to be played at 11:30 today, I think pretty much, yeah, they'll be played at 8 a.m. on Friday morning. There's going to be 4 time slots: 8 a.m., 11 a.m., 2 p.m., and 5 p.m. So there's going to be a full day of games
And
on Friday.
will they be down to 2 at that point, or will they have to come back on Saturday and play again?
No, that should catch us up unless we have more rain.
which
Yeah,
we were told today we were going to have a light storm. Light showers is what was in the forecast today. Anyone who is around the area, the light showers were definitely started with light showers. Definitely progressed.
Anybody that I told this to Seth before we started recording, but anybody that likes the sound of rain should look for Rosina's video she did in Beat Ball Nation, because the sound was really cool, and you could tell the water was just pouring out of the sky.
Definitely coming down hard at the time that I was recording.
Well, let's before we jump out of here, let's run down how things turned out with the elections. So we have a new president, Jerry Wendell. Nobody ran against him, so that's not a surprise. Our new second vice president, Richie Flores. There may be a fan of that from somebody here in this room.
Possibly.
Congratulations to Richie. Richie and I have been talking a lot the last few years about stuff along this line, along the lines of promoting our sport and helping it grow or whatever. So I hope I get to stay in touch with Richie while he takes on this new challenge and be part of what he's going to want to build. Our 5 members, because we had 9 people running for 5 board positions, the 5 that took those spots: Demetrius Morrow, Darren Keepers, David Smith of the Jets, Scott Hogwood of the Fire, And our 5th spot went to Brandon Chesterholm. Well, I was like, who's the one I'm forgetting? So only the one we've been talking about with the rough injury today. But Brandon Chester, I was glad to see him get in there. I know he's run for a spot before. So I was glad to see him make it in there. And then some the rules that were passed. One, I don't even remember what it was about. It has something to do with like conferences. So if anybody remembers whatever rule was proposed about how many, I think it's the number of team conferences, maybe per inning. I have no, I could care less. It did pass though. The double play rule passed. So now, and Mike Finn caught one on the bounce today, right? Isn't that in the game that you
Yes,
guys were
sir.
doing? Yeah, my buddy,
Yes, he
Big
did.
Game Mike. Seth and I played with Mike for years. Good friend of ours, but Big Game Mike made a play off the bounce. Doesn't count for 2 until next year, but that play did pass through. And I've drawn a blank on the third one. Seth, you'll be happy to know that for now on, when an umpire is checking a dead ball, the base will be, whatever base was on during the play will be turned on while the umpire is going out to see if the ball is still making noise, which only makes sense. I've never understood why we didn't do that years ago. I guess because none of us proposed a rule. Our generation wasn't smart enough to do anything about it.
Right.
But that is now a rule. Something that I've been hearing this year at the World Series that I've never heard before, Seth, that you may be familiar with, but I love it. You know how when a ball, they go to check if the ball's dead or not, and if it's even making a ticking noise, they consider it still alive.
Yes.
The offensive team, I've heard 3 different teams doing this. The offensive team, when the umpire is going out to check it, start going tick, 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 tick. There's a little chant that just starts building while they're walking out there. I thought that was really cool. Anyway, just hopeful thinking on their part, but I like it.
Yeah,
I like
bring,
it.
hey, trying to bring it back to life. Wish it back.
Positive
to life.
thoughts.
Exactly right. Well, that's
Hey,
all I got, folks.
well, on the elections, I got to say, me, I'm
Yeah.
a big democracy fan, and we had 17 teams, and it seemed like we had 176 votes. Out of if every team only had 10 or 11 players, I mean, you know what I'm saying, that is a huge undervote. That's a huge undervote. I mean, the Edge have like 40 people on their team.
It did seem like there was difficulty this year in getting the voting tokens, proving, having ID with you. If you didn't have it at the general assembly, you could get it later out at the field. It was a little harder to track down. I think a lot of people just didn't want to put forth the effort. That's just my take.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And I remember that I got something I want to ask you about the election day, Rosina, if that's cool. Seth and I talked about this yesterday, and it just popped in my head. But real quick on that last thought, I mean, I think you're correct. But at the same time, they let the election go through Wednesday night at like 8 o'clock Central. Like people had time outside of General Assembly to go handle that.
Correct. They
so
did.
Overall,
other than opening ceremony, it was a little harder to track them down to get those tokens.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fair. But I do agree with you, Seth. I mean, our 175 votes casted, I believe, like in that range, 176. And we are somewhere in the number of 400 in the membership, I believe. So less than half of our membership voting, that's not a good number.
And I want to say, and it just real, me, I always got to skew to politics. The harder you make it to vote, IDs, all this stuff, the fewer people will actually vote.
That's fair. I can buy into that.
Is the reality of it.
Rosina, what I wanted, I guess I'm kind of asking, I want to tap in on your professional audio descriptive side. And you posted a picture of the line outside of General Assembly, people trying to get in.
I posted a picture inside. It was
okay.
It was filling up. It was very packed, a lot of heated emotions. So when I took that picture, I went outside. I did not get a picture, but I went outside to see how long the line still was. And it was probably about 20 feet long still at that point when the room was 3/4 full.
So we read that there was security on the premises trying
There
to help.
were at least 2 security guards at the entrance. And then later during the meeting, when there was a little bit of contentious behavior, as we shall say, I believe a 3rd person showed up.
Wow.
See?
That, I mean, because Seth was asking me yesterday. He's like, I mean, what were they joking or is that serious? Like, man, I
Literally,
don't
it
know. Well,
started before the meeting was even there, it started with 2 on hand.
So I'm saying,
uh,
bad sign, bad sign, bad
I-
sign.
I guess I
was told by somebody, they said, when you need security guards because you're afraid of blind people beating up blind people, we're in trouble.
I guess I'm just going to say what I said to Seth when we were talking about it yesterday. But recently, Tim Sivers of the Houston Hurricanes did a podcast with Blake Boudreau, and the line he took a quote from the podcast that he used as his little teaser, and it said, "I really believe that the league is in better hands now than it was 5 years ago, and 5 years ago when he became president." And I don't remember a time in the 46, 7-year history of this league when we needed security at General Assembly. So I don't know if that's a fair line to draw, but I'm drawing it in.
That's definitely a fair opinion for anybody to have.
And I bet you that fewer people voted in this election than used to vote used to vote back in 2015, 2016. Just saying. So
I wouldn't
it
have
is what it is.
Right.
I will, however, answer the question I didn't actually answer when you asked how Matt and I kind of felt about our doing the play-by-play.
Oh yeah.
I feel very good about them, mainly because this is our 2nd year of doing it together. It takes a while to build that rapport.
Little
I think it was
chemistry. Yeah.
much easier for us to play off of each other this year, to have those not quiet moments in the change out of innings. Plus we had the extra this year of 5-minute breaks constantly for heat and water checks.
Yeah.
And keeping that going. Also, when I do it, and I'm assuming Matt is the same way, when he does it strictly for his team, you learn the certain players that you see most often, having to pay a little closer attention from last year and now this year. It's
Right.
much quicker and easier for me to know exactly who's playing where versus having to constantly look everything up, which also makes it smoother. So, I mean, I just feel like it's much smoother now, and hopefully, they'll allow us to continue to do it, next year. I'm sure it's just going to get better.
Yeah.
That's kind of my general thought, is it just felt even more natural this year of us being able to play off of each other, have little comments, and picking up, who's out in the field where.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of tag off of what Matt had said earlier when talking about it, working at his craft. Like he works as hard at preparing to do the games on a stream as the players do playing on the field. And just like the players need experience on the field to get better, there's nothing like in-game experience. That the same is going to be for you guys, whether you're working as a team or individually. The more experience that you have diving in and doing it, the more the better you're going to get at it.
And also, Rosina and I are honestly the perfect combination if you look at it, because you have Rosina, who has a very calm, demeanor with the description, and just the perfect description of everything with the bat, where the ball is in relative to the bat, and what the uniforms look like, and she sets the scene. And then I'm the memory guy, the intense, like, hi, this guy's 3 for 5 with a 3 try. I'm like that guy. So like we're like that perfect combination. She has all the description down. But even our personalities, like yeah, she's the describer, I'm the stats guy, which is perfect. But also she has that calm on-air influence, and I have that slightly more maybe intense, like all right, what's going to happen here? And I think that really, that's a great like combination too.
I totally agree with everything you say. You guys are a great match together. And something Matt just reminded me of, Rosina, that I've thought of listening to you do play-by-play. It's kind of unique, I think, in the blind world, because you're describing a game played by blind people, but you're used to doing audio description. So your play-by-play is kind of a combination of play-by-play and audio description. And I don't think it's something you're trying to do. I think it's just that's your nature. But I love it, because sometimes when you're doing play-by-play, it's like there's a second person there, adding in little audio description. The pitcher has picked up a towel, wiping sweat off the back of his neck, setting the towel down. Like, you don't get a lot of that in like play-by-play stuff. And because we're blind and not watching it, like, I love it. I think it's cool and unique.
Yeah, see, I
And if
consider
I can
myself
just,
more
sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say one more quick thing about that, is that I don't think I want to confirm how remarkable that is, because I work with play-by-play guys. I don't know how familiar people here are with me. I was in the Athletic. I've had my time with play-by-play people in hockey, with play-by-play people in other sports, and I've never gotten that. You know what I mean? Like, even working with a play-by-play person and having worked with other play-by-play people, it is very refreshing, and it's very good, and it's something that is 100% unique, even just in a booth with a person who does that. So
yeah. What were you saying, Rosina?
I consider myself more the audio describer than the play-by-play, because I don't consider it the play-by-play. I consider everything I'm doing, it might come out as a play-by-play because you're learning what's happening, but I consider it as, most people don't get that in the booth because those people are already picking that information up. I'm trying to think of describing everything that's going on so somebody can feel that they can smell the grass or be there. They can hear, how heavy the air is or how thick or damp it feels, or, the sweat on them. I just consider that to be the epitome of what I'm bringing. I definitely do not have the numbers or memories of anything like Matt does, which is why I do think it. I mean, we're complete opposites, so they really kind of mesh and play off. But I consider myself a describer. That's what I've done for 24 years. So I describe.
Yeah. No, it comes off very natural and unforced. It's cool. I love it. I like listening to you guys. I'm looking forward to listening to you for the rest of the weekend. And honestly, I appreciate you guys taking time to fit it in, because this has been a crazy busy week. And I know Rosina has had her eye set on the hot tub, so we should probably let her get to it. You have anything else, Seth Dog?
Nope.
You're good? Everybody good?
We're all good.
All right. Well, we will be back with you tomorrow with a big, long recap. And because the games were running so late and Seth has football practice, it's probably going to be another late night recap, but we are definitely going to get it. Good luck to you guys tomorrow. Everybody have a safe tournament, and we'll catch up with you later. Take care.